Good morning, YouTube. I am at the Iowa 80 truck stop in Walcott, Iowa. If you've never been across through here, or if you've never been into the Iowa 80, it's something to see. They got a massive chrome shop, and I mean, anything you want for a big truck. They've got a graphics shop where they can make vinyl lettering for you. They got really good restaurant. They got all kind of stuff here, and if they got really good food in the restaurant, they've also got a place across the street called Grandma's Kitchen. It's got like a little bar in it, and I can't remember the name of the bar, but they've got excellent food as well, and hotels and all that stuff. Well, it's exit 289 off 80. Most people who run back and forth across through here have been to it, but if you hadn't, it's worth the stop. You absolutely can't miss it. It's got world's largest truck stop, Iowa 80. This morning I am headed to Buckley, Washington. I have a friend that's right across the street. He got a room last night. I'm gonna go over there and get a shower and get cleaned up, and then we're gonna head toward Buckley, Washington. I'm gonna get my day started, go get a shower and get on the road, and I will see you guys soon. I've been coming in here for years, and this is one of my favorite stops on I-80. I'm sure it's a lot of people's favorite stop. It's just a really big, really good place to go. But yeah. Another thing, if you do stop in here, and especially if you got time to kill, you're on your 34-hour break or whatever, way out front there, you see the truck museum. That place is neat. If you like trucks, old trucks at all, old fire trucks, old Coca-Cola trucks, old dump trucks, old anything that has ever been considered a truck that's not practically brand new is going to be in, you know, there's a good possibility they'll have one at the Iowa 80 Trucking Museum. I went in there and I was going to take some pictures, and I jammed my phone up. I took so many pictures. They got so many trucks in that one building. It's freaking awesome. Real bad windy out here, but I figure I'd show you guys what pulling out to Washington. 30-foot Imagine. Also, that right there is freaking awesome. I really like the way he did his truck. So I don't go in these trailers when I pick them up. We're not supposed to. As far as I know, we're not supposed to even go in them at all. So I got no business in there. But yeah, my buddy hollered at me on the radio and told me he saw something wiggling on top of the trailer. So we pulled in the rest area back there and looked. And when I climbed up the ladder and looked, my vents were open and his vents were open. So I went in and called dispatch and asked them what they wanted me to do. I said, yeah, you might make it across town. I wouldn't really want a chance of dragging it all the way across the country, because those things are just plastic and they sit up there and wobble back and forth, you know, all the way across. They'll break. I've had mine on my cargo trailer break and fly off going down the road. When it wasn't even left open, it was just left cracked. It wasn't pulled down tight. So they did. He told me go on, close it, and that was my next thing. If it had started raining while we were going down the road, and I asked him when they supposed to be buttoned up and ready to ship from the factory. I mean, am I supposed to crawl up on top of this thing and check it every time? It's not something I've been doing. And I don't go inside. I'll walk around and pull the latches on all the doors, and if the doors don't open, I figure they're locked. I put the keys up and go on down the road. And if one does open, then I can grab the keys and lock it. Make sure it's all locked up so I don't pick up any hitchhikers or nobody gets in snooping around while I'm on my trip. But yeah, I gotta say, the company I'm with, one of the main reasons that I went with this company in the first place is they do a lot of cargo trailers and horse trailers, stuff like that, goosenecks and such. And I like those better. I really do. Everybody thinks about different companies now and then, and especially with the radio.
I'm gonna jump out right here. I'll catch you up at Underwood.
Okay, bud. I'll see you in a little bit. Everybody thinks about, what it would be like doing something, you know, with a different company and stuff. But with the campers being as frustrating as they've been when I pull them, I'm not gonna say frustrating, they're just more frustrating than the cargo trailers. The cargo trailers are super easy, and most of the time there's no check-in process. You pull up, they walk out, look at the outside, normally don't even open the inside and sign the paperwork, you're gone. A lot of those I've actually carried to customers' houses. I've met them out on the road, and met one guy at midnight in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and you know, he needed his bad, and he was going out of town, and you know, as soon as I could get there, he was going to hook to it, take it out of town. And I told him what time I'd be there. I'd be there at 8 o'clock that next morning. He said, you know, is there any way we could do it tonight? You know, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'll be there tonight. I just didn't figure you won't mess with it tonight. And he said, I'll come through. I'll be available about midnight if that would work for you. And I said, yeah, I'll be there by 10. So yeah, I pulled up at 10. He pulled in about 10:30. Picked up his trailer, and I just like the cargo trailers. They're easy. So that's one thing that would keep me from changing to a different company is, like I said, from my experience with the campers, they're okay. I really like pulling the fifth wheels. They ride good, they pull good, but I would prefer haul cargo trailers all day, every day if I could. They're easy. You know, going from trucking down to campers are easy. Going from campers to cargo trailers, and we do restroom trailers, fiber optics trailers, a lot of different stuff, and it's nice to, you know, do things other than just campers. Okay, so this is the Gen Y weight distribution shank setup. What it is, I already had this hitch that I was using, and then I bought the Gen Y. And I bought the bigger hitch, but I bought the one that fit the actual shank in the truck, one with a 2.5 inch shank. So I had the 2 and the 2 5/16 ball that goes on it, and then I had this. But to keep from having to change this out all the time, you buy the actual shank that slides in there, and it's actually a very well built, very strong shank. It actually slides into 2 of these holes. And what I do like about it is you can slide it out and adjust it. Like I say, I do wish I'd have bought the hitch with the other square hole up here instead of having the 4 down. I wished it had still had 4, but it had 1 over and 3 under, and that would have gave me more adjustability. But so far it's been just right here every time. I would have liked to have got a different hitch like this. I just picked this one up though. But I've seen the videos about the Gen Ys, I've seen videos about the shank, but I've never seen one actually all put together on the trailer. So there it is. The one downside that I did find to it is normally the ball sits about right here. When you add all this, it backs it up. It brings it back about another 2 to 3 inches away from the actual truck. So, you know, I don't like that. I think it kind of handles better, especially in high wind or something like that. Or, you know, no. I think it kind of makes it sway a little bit more being back a little bit further, but it's not enough to notice. But anyway, just wanted to kind of give a look. So tire chains, I did buy a set of tire chains. I was looking for them. I was calling around because headed out to Washington and possibly back into Colorado. I knew I would need them, and I called all the usual places, O'Reilly's and stuff like that. Some said they carried them, but they didn't have them in my size. Some said that they could order them and have them the next morning. I was finally referred to Martin's Ace Hardware in Middlebury, Indiana. If you're going through there, I've not been inside the store yet because this is great. I called him whenever I was coming up, when I was headed to Middlebury, and told him that I would be there about 7:30. He said, well, we're out of here. I think he said they were out of there at 6. I said, well, is there any way I can pay for them credit card over the phone and you leave them for me? He said, we actually have a setup for that, so if that's what we need to do, we can possibly do that. And they did. They left them outside for me and put them in a little hiding spot, and that was great. And it was the best price for the chain, the tire chains for this truck, with the bungees that hold them down and everything you need to put them on, which I figured if you're gonna have them, you might as well get everything was $139. And he also had the AUTOSYNC. I don't know if you know what an AUTOSYNC is, but I've seen them for big trucks. I've never seen them for cars. I think I watched a YouTube video on where they put them on cars. I was actually thinking that would be what I would prefer to go with, would be the sock, because it's a material. It wouldn't be as hard on the tire or the wheel and all that stuff. But then I got to thinking, I'm probably, hopefully, will never have to use these chains. And if I buy the AUTOSYNC, the only time I'm going to use it is snow and ice. Possibly I would have to use it, but I'm going to try not to. The chains, same deal. I'm going to try not to use them, but if I have to, I have to. But I live in Tennessee. Chances of me using them at home, very slim. But in the mud, I can see where I would put them on to get in or out of a place in the mud. You know, that's more of a possibility, I think, than putting them on to go through the snow. So the AUTOSYNC would be no good for that. The AUTOSYNC was like $154, and he had them in stock. And the chains for the bungees and all was $139. He said, you know, it's an Ace hardware store, so they've got all your hardware stuff, your tools and all that stuff. And then he also said he had a lot of RV transporting equipment. So if you're ever in Middlebury and you need something and want to check them out, I'll definitely be back. I'm actually, a really neat looking place when you pull up to it too. I actually almost drove by it last night because I was looking for a typical Ace looking hardware store, and it was really nice looking place. So yeah, I just figured I'd share that with you in case you're in Middlebury looking for something, especially like chains or that AUTOSYNC. Like I can't even find it really anywhere where you can walk in and just buy one for a pickup truck. I-80 in Nebraska going under the arches. I gotta say, it's one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever driven into. So when I was leaving the other day, I just had the regular Gen Y, and when we got to Iowa, the wind was cutting up. So we stopped and put this Hitch on. And now I'm in Oregon, and it's been windy and all that stuff all the way across, but swapping on the road with the same trailer where I had went from the non-weight distribution to this, man, it's daylight dark difference. It paid for itself on this load. I mean, to me, my personal opinion on it is, I was worried that with the ball being set back a little bit further, that it would maybe get it further away and give it more leverage on the truck, cause it sway, but it hasn't. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. And that hitch, it really ought to be on a dually, you know, as heavy duty as it is. But man, I'm liking it. It's really doing a good job. And this is the first time I've been this far with it. I mean, I've used it a couple of times on shorter runs, but you know, like when I very first bought it, I used it a couple of times just to see how it worked, but it's doing a really good job. Also, I wanted to note that shank, there are two different sizes. There's a 2 and a 2.5, 2 inch and 2.5 inch shank, I think it is, on the actual Gen Y itself. So if you get the 2.5 inch shank on the Gen Y, you also need the bigger shanked weight distribution shank. The square holes are bigger or smaller. I did find that out when I went to buy that one, and I did pick that one up at Dan's Hitch in Elkhart, Indiana. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there. This is just before you get into Ellensburg, Washington. We came around a curve, started off a hill, like a 10-minute descent off this hill, and it looked like it was going towards a lake or something like that at the bottom. I thought it was water at first, and then it kept getting closer and closer, and it turned out to be fog. Went from one of the most beautiful days we ever seen to foggy so bad you couldn't see the end of your hood the rest of the way through Ellensburg. Hey guys, so I just wanted to kind of finish this video up. I kind of got a little sidetracked. We got unloaded in Buckley, Washington, which was really great. The people there were awesome. I think it was Paul Everett's and Buckley, if I want me to do that. Got there, got unloaded, and started headed back, and I was not feeling good and kind of tired, and we went in and stopped early and got a hotel room. And woke up the next morning, started down the road, and my buddy that had went out there with me, we both delivered to the same place. He hollered at me and told me there was something going on the back of my truck, to slow down. He caught up with me, and somebody had helped themselves to my license plate. while I was at the hotel that night. So I didn't know that was that big a deal. Apparently out there it is. I called the sheriff's department in Ellensburg, Washington is where it happened at the Super 8. I called the sheriff's department and they took a report, and I put my transport tag on my truck and drove on home. Went in, got my new tag. It was only $13, which I was worried that it was going to be way more than that. I was going to have to buy a whole new tag or something like that, but it was $13 for a replacement plate, and I didn't know if that would be helpful to anybody because I sure didn't know what it was going to be, and that's in Tennessee. And yeah, I was having to wait for the officer to call me back and all that stuff, and it just, like I said, time kind of got away from me. But I'm actually back home and just had Thanksgiving, and hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, and I guess I will see y'all again in the next video. Alright, thanks for watching. A little bit more scenery from the ride. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it, guys.